Okay. All in favor? Aye? Aye, yeah, figured. Okay. We're at Roman 4, public hearings. This was continued from April 5th, 2023 and May 3rd, 2023. The Town of Fairfield Wetlands Agency proposed revisions to the inland wetlands and watercourse regulation of the Town of Fairfield to amend the fee schedule and update regulations. The staff recommends closing the public hearing and the adoption of the proposed revisions to the inland wetlands and watercourse regulations effective on or about June 21st, 2023. Commissioner, any questions, comments? Yes.
Remember, we had a theoretical discussion at one point about increasing the application fee for violations. Is that something we want to talk about, or is it just kind of that being dealt with another time?
Well, I think if I recall correctly, the fee schedule is a separate schedule, so it's not in the body of the regulation, so that could always be brought up at almost any point in time. And I think that was done on purpose, right?
Allows a lot more flexibility.
Yeah.
To, adjust it as necessary without having to go through all the same motions of amending the regulation.
Excellent.
I think we still have to have a public hearing. I don't think it's anywhere as complicated.
Yeah, in the future, if we were to increase the fee?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, for this purpose, if there's no more questions or comments, then I would need make a motion to close.
Yeah, my motion, we close it and accept the staff recommendations.
Okay, second to that? Anyone? Peter? Okay. So Richard had the motion, Peter seconds. All in favor? All right, so that was just to close the public hearing. Now I would need a motion to approve it with the staff recommendation.
I'll make that motion.
That was Jay, all right, and Jerry seconds. All in favor? Okay.
You guys did a good job.
Brian,
You guys worked on
was that a yes?
Aye, yeah.
Okay, very good. So that was unanimous in that. With a comment that it was a great job by all the commissioners, which was true. Okay. We have number 5, Roman 5, applications for receipt. Number 1, WP 23083, Town of Fairfield Engineering Department, Twin Brooks Lane, right of way, and 14 Twin Brooks Lane, map 177, parcel 183. Restoration of an area around Twin Brooks Lane right of way and 14 Twin Brook Lane to repair culvert and embankment damages caused by Hurricane Ida within the regulated area. The public hearing petition has not been received as of 5/31/23. The petition period ends 6/21/23. And the last day for public hearing decision is August 11th, 2023. And the last regular meeting prior is August 2nd, 2023. Staff recommends tabling application pending legal notice and departmental review. Okay, so we'll.
Make a motion to table.
Jerry makes a motion. Anybody seconds? Dabney seconds. We will table that. Well, all in favor? I'm assuming yes. Okay.
Are you here for that vote?
I'm here for another one.
Okay.
I was aware of possibilities of being pushed to the next meeting.
Good. Thank you. All right, now we have Roman 6, the application for discussion. This is number 1, WP-23-023, O'Malley, 47 Quaker Lane, map 128, parcel 314. Construct 3-foot timber retaining wall and add 235 cubic yards of fill to a level yard within a regulated area. The public hearing was closed on May 3rd, 2023. The last day for decision is June 7th, 2023. And the last regular meeting is June 7th, 2023. The staff recommends approval with consideration of staff recommendations as conditions prior to approval. I would entertain a motion. Well, we can have discussion, I guess. But we need a motion first.
I think we need a motion.
Yeah, let's
first,
do a
and then
motion.
discussion.
I'll entertain a motion to approve with staff recommendations if somebody wants to put that up. No? Why not? And then see what
And then
happens.
see what happens. and
Okay.
then-
Make the motion for staff recommendation.
Okay. Anybody second?
I'll second it. Staff recommendation.
With the staff recommendation.
Right. I'll second.
In second. Okay, so Jerry's got the motion with the staff, approval with staff recommendations, and Richard seconds it.
Now-
Discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be very circumspect about this, and I feel, I feel for the owner, and I'm not trying to inflict any further harm, but this was a violation, or is a violation. And in my opinion, I'll keep it to personal opinion, there's they identified an impact from proposed activity, which is the filling of the floodplain area. That displaces water that could normally spread out and could possibly exacerbate flooding downstream. We don't know exactly what the extent or potential impact of it is, because they declined at the public hearing to do a study that would give us the information that we would need to determine whether it was a significant impact or not. So in my opinion, there's with the work that was done there, unauthorized work that was done there, there's an irretrievable and irreconsiderable loss of a resource there. I wouldn't be able to support this application.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, any other comments or? Okay.
Thanks for I'm just grateful for your,
I'll just make the comment that I think I think one of the things that this commission can do is try to come up with a way for homeowners and contractors and landscape contractors to be better informed about what our rules and regulations are in this town. And as far as wetlands are concerned, so maybe at some point, the summer's probably not the time to do that. Maybe in the fall, we can put together a working group to think about how we can do that.
I
Yeah.
really think that's a good idea.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. I absolutely agree with that. By the same token, we need to make it easy for people to understand what their responsibilities are, and especially contract.
I was gonna,
The contractor side of it, they should have some responsibility for knowing whether or not an application needs to be made for a permit.
In every other incidence where there is regulations that are put forth by the town, the contractor is responsible. Building codes, electrical, plumbing, framing.
I'm wondering, is that something that we can try to implement? Tim, are you aware of any other towns or anything that would allow us to not only deal with the homeowner, but also their contractors?
I mean, in my experience, the responsibility always goes to the property owner.
Okay.
Isn't it a statute that everyone involved, like if you had a fine per day, such as
Right.
one I'm thinking of,
Mhm.
anyone who participates in the violation is responsible. To me, that's the contractor. I also say, this is an editorial, I don't buy this, the contractors aren't knowledgeable.
Yeah,
Just
I don't buy
Yeah.
that.
never will. But my understanding of the statute is that anyone who participates in a violation is responsible. I don't know about Julie or whatever else, but
Happy to bring
Why
that
it's
to the
not part of
Yeah.
a building permit?
What-
Why wouldn't it be part of a building permit, Tim?
Well, the could be complicated, but the building depends on how it starts, I guess, on where our involvement is with wetlands versus how it came in through. Did it come in through building? Did it come in directly to us, wetlands? I think a lot of it depends on the origin. Either way, in the past, the violation always ties to the homeowner.
Yeah.
And if it's, if it is a fine or some financial penalty, then I think it'd be the responsibility of that homeowner to, kind of subrogate those costs with the contractor.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
As Abby said, the electrical inspector has to sign off on it. The building inspector has to sign off on it.
Oh, and I'm not insinuating that we need inspectors necessarily, but I think that I think that the contractor, the savvy contractor, can say, I know that this is a violation, but I'm here to make $1 and it's not my problem and I don't want to suffer the consequences. By the time this makes it onto our desk, he's on to the next job.
Too late.
He's cashed his check.
And similar
the real
to
world.
this,
Yeah.
to this
Yeah.
case, is it came to us after the fact.
All these
The
are.
trees were already growing.
That's right.
Building
Some
permit or
don't
wetland
down.
permit violations.
But the ones that do,
If they do, I think we have more recourse.
Right.
yeah, well,
There's no incentive for them to follow the law.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying, yes.
They're free to walk away,
Right.
and they're not gonna have to, scale back their plan.
Right.
Yeah, I think that,
Thank you.
let's put it into the others of tonight's meeting and maybe we can talk about it because it's not so much about this particular application,
right.
but I think the idea, we're all on board.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. And it seems to me an opportunity for, commercial liability insurance for the contractors to say,
Something.
make an error, it
Well,
can't be insurance.
If they're gonna do work in our town, they're gonna do work in our town, they should be aware of it. And then they should also be what the requirements are, and they should also be aware of some sort of penalty that's in addition to the homeowner's penalty.
So we're really in agreement with the suggestion.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no, I think that's
I just want the caveat is I think we have to talk to,
council, yeah, all right, so let's, all right, so any-
Same line.
any further comments that directly affect this application? Nope. Well then, the motion's on, all of those in favor? Aye.
Can we repeat the motion?
Oh, it's to approve of the staff recommendation. So basically,
I wasn't able to locate the staff recommendations. That wasn't in our packet.
it's the same one from at the
Last
last
meeting.
meeting. So, okay,
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
What could be added to the staff recommendations that would satisfy your concerns?
I don't think there is any at this point. Either it's do the study, which they've already declined to do.
Right,
Remove some of the film material, which I.
Yeah.
I also
declined.
want to say, we don't have to be unanimous in every vote
No,
all the
no.
time, so,
For the record.
Yeah.
I agree with Jay.
Yeah.
And I'm happy, and I was very sympathetic to the applicant. I'm really unhappy.
Yeah.
I feel that Jay is correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
likewise, okay. All right, sorry. Now we can vote.
okay, so those all in favor? 3, those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Did you get the votes?
3, 4, 0.
Okay. Off we go.
Okay.
Number 2, WP 23058, Russo and Rizzo LLC, 250 Pequot Avenue, map 241, parcel 175A. Demolition of existing structure and construction of a new 4-story residential building, driveway and parking area, and associated site improvements within a regulated area. Last day for public hearing decision is July 7, 2023. Last regular meeting prior is June 7, 2023. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Okay. Any
I'll make a motion to approve it.
motion?
We have a presentation from the applicant.
My name is Mike Patrilla. I'm with the Huntington Company.
So wait 1 second, please. Is that okay? What, we have the presentation?
I thought we had the
We
presentation.
did that, didn't we?
No, we did it, they did it as a receipt of the application.
Right, yeah, but it wasn't we didn't see the plan.
I had some comments and I'd like to review it. I thought there, I don't have an overall problem with it, but I'd like to hear from the interest.
I'm here with Mr. Bill Kenny, and unfortunately, our attorney, Chris Russo, I talked to him this afternoon, he's supposed to be here. Could we put this towards the end of the meeting?
Oh, sure. Want to pass it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
He did the presentation.
Yeah. That's probably what confused me because it felt like it was a full presentation last time, but it was only for a receipt.
I did present the whole.
I don't.
But I think procedurally, it was only for
We're gonna skip.
But on our agenda, it was only for receipt. It wasn't for a discussion. Yeah.
So we're gonna,
So we're gonna table that until Attorney Russo gets here, and we will move forward to Roman numeral 7, declaratory rulings. Number 1, declaratory ruling request by the Town of Fairfield Engineering Department, culvert repaired due to damage sustained during Hurricane Ida within a regulated area at the following locations: Hillside Road, North Verna Hill Road, 317 Verna Hill Road, Mervyn Lane, bless you, 270 Merwin's Lane, Greenfield Hill Road, 566 Greenfield Hill Road, Governor's Lane, 155 Governor's Lane, Verna Hill Culvert, 317 Verna Hill Road. Even though there's 5 rulings or addresses, it'll all just be one ruling, one. So we're not going to do each one individually. It's all together, and that's it. Unless Dabney has anything to say.
Should I say now? Okay, well, I'm just, for the record, I want to point out that the Burna Hill culvert replacement site is not on my property, but across the street from my property, from my residence.
I think that's true. Okay, we all live in the town.
That's right.
Go ahead. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bill Hurley, Engineering Manager, Town of Fairfield. And on September 1st and 2nd, 2021, Hurricane Ida made landfall in Fairfield County. It deposited several inches of rain, about 4 to 6 inches of rain in a span of a few hours. And this caused localized flooding. It caused the rivers, ravines, creeks, and other facilities to have high velocity waters. And in some cases, they overflowed the banks of the streams and the inlets. The hydraulic pressure from this water and the rain caused scouring, embankment erosion, and some failure of and undermining of the culverts at various locations in Fairfield. The list of culverts that were impacted are Hillside Road north of Verna Hill, Merwin's Lane culvert and head wall, Greenfield Hill Road, Governor's Lane, Verna Hill Culvert, and the outlet of Twin Brooks Lane, which you heard earlier, which that one was a little bit more of an impact, and the conservation director had recommended an IWPA for that one. The town has received FEMA approval for these repairs after a 1.5 year discussion, going back and forth, field measurements, and I think we got approval from 4 different agencies of FEMA or divisions of FEMA. They are reimbursing the town about $250,000 for this work, and the work has not started, as you know, because we need at least a inland wetlands approval or the regulatory, what was the word there you used? A declaring ruling. And so that's why I'm here today to get that. The town and FEMA considered most of these to be, storm-related repairs. There is a few cases of minor mitigation to try to prevent some of this from happening again. In some cases, no matter what we do, we can only do an improvement. When you get that much rain, there's really not much you can do, but they would be some improvements, and FEMA, as I said, is willing to reimburse the town for that. We have, for each project, they call it project worksheet, we have a whole list of conditions and requirements. So you can be rest assured that we have to meet state, local, and federal law. We have to meet all the FEMA requirements, Army Corps of Engineer requirements, and inland wetlands requirements. I can go into, as I said, these are storm-related repairs, maintenance, and as I said, minor mitigation. But I can at least, if the commission is willing to, I can also put it in on a condition of approval, or at least on the record, that engineering, DPW and its contractor contact the conservation staff, hold a pre-construction meeting. We will follow the Connecticut erosion and sediment control details. We will have a qualified site monitor on occasion at the site. We obviously have to meet, as I mentioned before, FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineer requirements. We'd have sandbag or mini timber cofferdams. We would use silt sacks and dirt bags if there was any pumping. One of the reasons why I appreciate the commission hearing this now is that we might be able to, getting the approval here, and we get our RTM approval at the end of the month, we'll be able to put the thing out to bid, and we could actually do the work during the typically low level times, and so therefore there would be a lot less impact on these repairs. And we would have a turbidity curtain. We could use saccrete. We could mortar and stone. I have pictures here if someone doesn't believe or understand the damage. As I said, for Merwin's Lane, there was a head wall. A lot of what you can imagine. I'll just say that if this is the wall or the head wall or the culvert wall, the street, the water from the stream and the high velocities kind of created a little cavity underneath it. And so we have to fill something with that. If we just put dirt there, then chances are it's going to wash out. So we in most cases propose to either have a saccrete where it's a bagged concrete that hardens over time, or we'd have a small hose to pump in some concrete to cover it with a form, much like you would a curtain wall or a small footing. That's what we propose. The head wall would be a new head wall for Merwin's Lane. And for Verna Hill, we would replace the culvert that's there. So it got washed out.
Any opportunity on the wing walls or side or stream bank stabilization, use any bioengineering?
What I was proposing, and I should have brought the one detail. It's going to be very similar to Twin Brooks. Is if you can imagine like the side of a pyramid, we start with larger rock at the bottom and work our way up. Okay, so that the velocity can handle the velocities, and then in between with the voids, we would fill in with soil, and then be able to have plantings or vegetative cover. So that was what I was proposing to do that. Nobody wants to look at a riprap,
The roots all and help it all together too.
Stabilizes.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, we could have at the very bottom, sometimes you can line it with core logs or wattles, to help stabilize and hold back until it gets stabilized. And then, if it's vegetative, then you can just leave it there.
Right, and there are some core logs now that'll actually have roots that will actually fade into the soil too.
Yeah, we can look into the availability of that. I didn't want to promise that because I don't know about the availability, but certainly in these more sensitive areas,
On that.
we wouldn't do it underneath the.
Right, no, you can't do it.
With
Right,
slope stabilization, that is something we could look
Exactly.
into.
I have two quick questions.
Sure,
One,
of course.
comment. The reimbursement sounds terrific. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
What qualifies someone to be a site monitor?
A site monitor is, I believe conservation has a list of approved site monitors or ones that were in the past. I know that a professional engineer is certainly qualified. And then someone who has at least some experience in erosion and sediment control, whether they have certifications, whether they have, education or college, if deemed, as I said, we would have a pre-construction meeting. We would have to, for the staff, name who the site monitors are. And if necessary, if the staff was familiar with them, there'd be no problem. If they weren't familiar, we would have to submit a resume of some sort.
Right.
And it would be the same for any site monitor for any project. So.
Just for the record, Rick, the new definitions in the now the regulations has the definition of site monitor.
Site monitor. So,
Bill, I have a question about, Burner Hill.
Sure, I can understand.
Burner Hill. Um, there are actually two culverts. Is this for both of them? Or
No,
just,
it's for the one, you might recall, right after Hurricane Ida, the remnants of the corrugated metal pipe.
ended up in my yard? Yes,
Pushed out.
It was.
That's the culvert. Right now, the other culvert, there's nothing wrong with it,
right.
but we are continue, obviously, to
You're
keep it.
continuing to monitor it and stuff like that. Okay, great.
There is a possibility we could like gunite or do something with the joints.
Yeah.
We're looking into doing that, but this would be that closest to the intersection culvert.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, that ended up in my yard.
So,
Worn out pieces of that culvert. And then, I didn't see anywhere in this, it's probably not part of, this part of the project's purview, but, there was some talk about a guardrail going up to protect that embankment. Is that part of this? application?
it is and it isn't. It's part of, I'll have to look at the exact detail of that, but it was normally for FEMA, it would not, it's not.
It would not be, okay.
First,
Okay,
because the guardrail, as you know, is kind of dated.
Yeah.
And non-compliant. And so FEMA did not take a look at that as
Okay.
being storm damage.
because my, part of my concern isn't I mean, I am concerned about the guardrail itself. That's not for this.
Right.
It's that, because those wooden posts have disintegrated, have, worn down over time, as cars drive by, it's actually it's eroding,
Yes,
contribute to the erosion of that embankment.
that's
So
right.
insofar as that, what am I trying to say? Reconstruction of that embankment and shoring it up and all of that, that is part of it.
I did this, yeah, that we made sure of that, because there are a couple of leak offs that have expanded, and there's obviously the exposed water line, or yeah, I think it's water line is there. And that is part of it, the utility, I call it utility adjustments that we have to.
Yes, okay, great, thanks.
Well, I have to say, when someone who's walked over there, it's in really bad shape, so I'm glad that this is on the table, and the sooner rather than later. I mean, there's the road is giving way, like, if the buses go over there, I'm always like, oh boy, like.
I share the same concern. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say about a month ago on a very heavy rain Sunday, they were thinking maybe 3 inches. I think we only got like at 1.8 inches, so that was fun. But I, on a Sunday, even went to take a look at this culvert.
Yeah.
And it will be one of the first. The minute I get the.
I mean, never mind that,
I'm like, oh boy, I'm like, yeah.
well, and never mind that two cars can't pass, and certainly not a bus.
Yeah, we're not widening the road though.
The road is really, really narrow.
Right, but like the bus goes over it, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And that might be another thing that, through the police commission or something, look at maybe a one-way or do some sort of thing.
God bless you. I've been trying for 20 years, but.
But that would be separate than this. The only reason why I don't mind the discussion and why I think it's somewhat part is to, again, highlight that we're trying to replicate existing conditions. So we're
Yes.
widening the road.
Right. Other questions, comments?
Project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Make a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. That's what there's for the project.
Anybody second?
I'll second.
Okay, Schwartz seconds. All in favor? And, yep, okay, unanimous. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. So, ma'am, I'm gonna go back to your, that's okay. I just wanna, you don't have to apologize, but you did move along. And this is in regards to, Roman numeral 6, application for discussion, number 1, WP 23 O'Malley, 47 Quaker Lane. We discussed it and we ruled upon it. We discussed your application and there was a vote on the application and unfortunately it fell short. So you'll have to come back, go to the office, talk to Tim and see what other options are available to you, okay? Sorry, the board made its decision by way of a vote. You can check the record. This is being recorded and you can review it. But one of the biggest concerns was was it a survey or what was it? A floodplain, study. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. So that was the bigger thing. Okay. To see what effects the work, has on the floodplain.
I don't understand.
You might have to ask your professional, the person that you're working with, they might have to explain it to you.
It's how it affects the floodplain, which isn't just in your yard, it's in the whole area. And how the water course, when it rains, how what you have done affects the flooding in the area.
On my wall and everything you're saying? So sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right. So that's something that you would have to deal with.
So is there, what the next process is there another step or not?
Not with us. The application was denied, so you have to start with a new application. It can't be the same application. It has to be different. You can, it's a ruling and there are legal
So
things. It's okay.
Okay.
Talk to your professional.
Yeah, talk to.
Have them listen to.
recorded?
Yeah.
Yes, it's recorded. So
It's
recorded
recorded.
on FairTV and on our website.
Yep, we have it.
The vote fell or
Yep.
anything? I'm sorry, I don't know.
It does. It does. It's all there, but it might be a week or so before it's up. How long does it usually take? Oh, no, it's a day or two. It'll be up and they can review it. It was maybe a 10-15 minute conversation, discussion, and then a vote. Okay?
Would talk to your professional about having,
I know.
sorry, talk to your
Okay.
professional. Yeah. Talk to your professional about the possibility of doing a floodplain study.
Right.
And then resubmit an application.
So much money.
I know.
Sorry. Okay. You're welcome. Good luck.
Okay.
All right, now we're, Attorney Russo, you need some more time? You're gonna be, okay, so then we'll call that again. That is, we'll move on from 6, application for discussion 2. WP 23058, Russo and Rizzio LLC, 250 Pequot Avenue, parcel 241, map 241, parcel 175A, demolition of existing structure, and construction 4-story. Guys, I'm not sure if it's picking it up. Give me a moment to, demolition of existing structure and construction of a new 4-story residential building, driveway and parking area and associated site improvements within a regulated area. Last day for public hearing and decision is July 7, 2023. Last regular meeting prior is June 7, 2023, and staff recommends approval with conditions. Attorney Russo is here and you may commence. Thank you, sir.
Do we have to have it on video?
No,
No.
no, that's more for us. Everything that's there should have already been.
It's already in
provided
the
and
files,
stuff.
right? Okay,
Yeah,
just want to
so-
make sure.
Chair, Commissioners, good to be before you tonight on this smoky evening for the property at 250 Pequot Avenue. Thank you for accommodating us a little bit later. I know at the acceptance, I gave kind of a brief intro on it, so I won't belabor kind of repeating all that, but just to kind of just a quick run through of this site. 250 Pequot Avenue. To the left is the Chase Bank. To the right is another office building. Behind it here is the railroad station. It has an existing building located in this area right here. I have a survey that I could show you. The proposal is to completely demolish that building and construct a brand new building that will contain 18 residential condo units. There is a water course along the rear of the property, which is why we are here. With us, we have Bill Kenny with William Kenny Associates, and also Mike Paterlo with the Huntington Company that will run through the good stuff. We talked about this last time. The way the site sits, if you've driven past it, Pequot Avenue is at a higher grade than a good chunk of the rest of the site. It steeply falls off here. So in looking to redevelop it, what we did was we located this building right along Pequot Ave. This will be the entrance for if you're going out to go for a walk. And this will be the visual, and I have a rendering that can show that, but that'll be on grade. And then you'll go down to a parking area, sort of similar to how it's laid out now. If you've been by there, there's a few parking spaces up here up front, and then there's a roadway that kind of curves down to a larger parking area. But people will come down this driveway to access this main parking area and then come up to their units. And then there's another roadway, driveway that comes out that's an exit only, closer to the intersection with Post Road. So that's how the site is laid out. One of the beauties of this, it's an older site. It has no treatment. It's very outdated with today's code. So the beauty of being able to redevelop the entire site is that we can significantly improve things from a conservation, from a wetlands and water course perspective. And Bill and Mike will really get into the details of that. But just some of the highlights: we're reducing the impervious area on the site. We are pulling further back from the water course. We are doubling the size of the floodplain, and also we have a plan to manage the invasives, remove and manage the invasives that are there, storage, treatment. We're able to add all these things and really bring the site up to today's code, today's regulations. So it's an exciting opportunity from that perspective. We're also able to add a lot of plantings, particularly along, even though we're also expanding this back area, we're also very excited about the plantings that we'll be able to do along Pequot Avenue. We spent a lot of time working with Southport Conservancy and Sasquatch to get that in a way that they felt they were comfortable with, and they also felt matched the neighborhood, which is obviously such a beautiful neighborhood. So that's the basics. I will turn it over to Bill to get into the details of his plan, and then have Mike come down up as well.
Bill Kenny, Principal of William Kenny Associates. Guess I'll go up here. We've worked on this property for over 10 years. This will be the third one that we've had a application with the Conservation Department. I think so in 2011. It's the second sheet. So. Yeah, do you have the one from? Yeah. I even have one from before that.
Oh, okay. You go back farther than that.
I'll step back and talk about existing conditions. Right now, there's a building that takes up this corner right here, and then the parking through here. And you have that small stream that comes along from the north to the south, comes out of a pipe right here where it's been under a parking lot. And Metro North Railroad is up through here, travels another 100 feet or so, and then it goes under Old Post Road and travels many hundreds of feet beneath buildings and roads until it comes out down around Southport Congregational Church and comes out into a tidal wetland system across the street from the church behind a parking lot there. Then it goes down behind the church, I think. And in 2011, there was a proposal to remove, there used to be a driveway crossing across this in a small building, in a small addition off of the existing building. So you gave, I can't remember if it was a staff approval, it must have been. It was a staff approval. There was an approval at that time, and this was the drawing to remove fill from the floodplain, expand the floodplain, and take out this building and take out a crossing that was here. And I've got photos from that time, but we did a similar proposal where we lowered the grade at the stream, lowered the grade. The building had been here. This is a section looking this way. So that was a first good step in helping things in this area. And then 2 years ago, the proposal was to keep the building, and there's significant flooding occurring under the existing building where the finished floor of this building is at the level of the parking lot. So when this stream floods, the water comes right in the front doors and it causes quite a problem. And so we were here a couple of years ago to help improve this stream, remove fill along here. Here we drew a section looking this way. Here's the stream. This hill rises up to the railroad. And we were talking about lowering the grade here by a foot or so and creating a boulder curb of sorts along here and trying under the smaller storms to keep the stream in that channel.
When was that done?
So the work was not completed.
Okay, I was gonna say, because that's not what it looked like when we went there.
Sorry. The work in 2011 was completed and this work was not. So things to think about, this is a major impediment within the floodplain. You have this parking that's exposed to rain and oils and things like that that drip from the cars, and there's no treatment, so it goes right into these catch basins and out into this stream, down into Southport Harbor. So with the new proposal, it's to take this same concept that's been slowly occurring along the water course and expanding that floodplain wetland and just carry that the full length of the property and expand the floodplain wetland a little bit more. Remove that building that's at ground level, lift the building up, put tremendous amount of parking under the building so you protect it from rain. So rain isn't coming down and landing on the parking lot and carrying pollutants into the stormwater system. And then also collecting the water from the roof and the parking, putting it into subsurface infiltration systems to help clean that water. Removing invasives, planting native plants. And reducing impervious cover overall as well. So a lot of good things happening with this. We think it's a beneficial impact to the resource. Has to certainly be done in a careful manner. We have provided notes on how to carry out the work along the stream, and pleased to incorporate any suggestions that you have that we all figure make sense.
So, for one, I guess I'm in favor of overall of the project, but there's some of the details I wanted to kind of discuss with you.
Sure.
Mainly, it's, as you know, that's as bad as it gets in the back there with the invasive species. I think you have all the number one hip on the hip parade. You got boysenberry, knotweed, phragmites, multiflora rose. Does that extend over the property line onto the railroad right away? Those, you cut it off there, but I assume it extends up the embankment further.
Once you get to the top of the embankment, it's more of like a gravel parking
So
driveway.
you think you'll be able to remove, because if you don't get those, it's gonna act as a refugia and everything's just gonna, most of those things are, it's a root system that's removal, that's the
I
important.
think we'd be able to work with that property owner to ensure that if we have to go onto that property a little bit, I don't think that would be a problem.
Which problem?
Onto the railroad.
Railroad, okay.
Yeah. So, and going along that theme, I think you're ambitious with 2-year schedule to remove everything. I think it's gonna take more like 5 years. So I'd like to see the monitoring be at least for 5 years and then periodically, some period, I think would be in everybody's interest. You don't want your building doesn't want to have that. So that's the comments as far as that. And then I'm not sure that the trees, I like the idea of having trees, but maybe a smaller tree in the back there, because I'm just, the wet soils, some of those other taller trees might be thrown to the wind throw. It's a detail, but I just
That's fine.
throw that out there.
Yeah, we could do serviceberry or sweet bay magnolia.
Something that, well, you need something to probably grow a pretty wet feed. But I think just thinking that, or maybe you use a red maple, which have a more diffuse risk system, although that might be too aggressive. Anyway, it's just something to think about. Again, it's not a criticism, it's a comment. But other than that, I mean, I'm in favor of the project. I think, the resource there is certainly compromised, and, addressing the situation is gonna be a big improvement.
Yeah.
I don't think it could be any worse.
Well, yeah, one of the
I
questions
look at
that,
it, I keep saying, I keep harping, right now as I harp on Salt. I just look at that parking lot and I see Salt going right into the, it
No.
infuriates me. I don't know what's gonna happen, but anything you're talking about is better than what it is now. It's a mess.
great. Is it the same owner, gonna be the same owner?
Yes,
Yeah.
well, you mean beyond once the development
Once
happens?
it's, yeah,
So it's gonna be a condo, so it'll
Right.
get transferred over to an association and it'll be subject to any approval, obviously. It doesn't matter who the owner is, but we can put in the HOA docs,
Well,
the
let me tell you
homeowners
what-
association docs, something along lines, like if we're extending it out 5 years for management, that they have to do that.
yeah, because the portion that to the right, as you go down the driveway, so like where the 4 or 5 trees are,
Yeah.
to the left. Yeah, that there and about to the other 2 trees, it looks like it's a dumping ground. And I'm like, who's managing this thing?
Well-
It's,
So wait a second, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're saying the HOA is gonna own the property and the condo?
Yeah.
On the condo.
Condo association,
association.
Condo association.
right.
With the condo association, right.
Yeah.
So,
That would
be the
be,
one who'll be.
that would be common area. That would be a common area, I would think. Yeah, so they would have to maintain it.
So, and I very familiar with this property. So with regard to the comment regarding the previous approval. So when we got that, it was at that time, it was actually my idea. Originally, the applicant had thought we were gonna just keep the existing building, and he had tenants there. And this was during COVID time, and I came up with this idea for this type of development. So we switched from the idea, which was the previous one, which was, okay, we have it here. Right, so we were just gonna, we were gonna keep the building and we were gonna make these improvements. And at that time, this tenant that was on the bottom moved out. And that's when we started thinking about, was there another option? And I looked at the land use regulations and I said, I think we could do something like this. That took a lot longer than I thought it was gonna take. I think I met with Southport Conservancy in Sasquatch over a 6-month period before we went to ZBA first. So this process just drug out a long time, and that's why we didn't move on this right here.
Is this an 830G application?
No, it needed some variances, which were supported by, or at least didn't have opposition. But, and so we got those. Now we're here before you, and then after this, we'll go P and Z in accordance with the regulations, now that we have the variances. So apologize for that. So, but the other thing too is, yes, so this area now at the bottom is barely used. There's no tenant down there. And there's a pair of dumpsters, which definitely have become, I think people know it's an out of sight dumpster and they can go there. So we have random things that get put in that dumpster all the time. I think it's just people in the neighborhood coming in. So we have come through and they come through and they clean it up. And,
It was more landscape stuff and pallet and wood and just, you can tell it was just dumped there.
yeah, people have been just dumping there. So I mean, that's part of the benefit of this is having actual residents there, people who will oversee it. And then it has gotten a ton of invasives, that porcelain berry. I have porcelain berry at my house. It's crazy. So, and it really has taken over back there.
Yeah, I would be most comfortable if that was explicit in the condo association,
Sure.
bylaws, that they're responsible for managing the invasives, managing the trees, especially if they're larger trees. Just general maintenance of that area. I mean,
We can make a condition of approval that any condo association documents reference, bills, habitat enhancement plan. Yeah, so that's something.
About mandate 70% native to 30% ornamental.
I think it's mostly gonna be native plants throughout the rest of the landscape as well. Then,
Well,
And-
your testimony.
Anything else for Bill or?
Any commissioners, any other questions on that? Okay, sure, go ahead.
Here, I'll pull the site.
I need the plans. If there's questions, I'll.
There was a document you submitted at the end of the day. I wasn't sure what that was all about.
Yeah.
I would read back to have something on the record just about in terms of what's going on.
Members of the commission, my name is Michael Batola. I'm a licensed land surveyor and professional engineer here in the state of Connecticut, and also a member of the Huntington Company. I read the comments from the staff, and the most important one, which I knew it was going to come up, was the post 10-year storm being equal to or less than the pre 2-year storm. When I started this project, just back up one small bit, as Attorney Russo said, we had an existing condition with a building and pavement in the building. We had 32,548 square feet of hardscape, of impervious area. The proposed conditions are 27,343 square feet. So it's just over 5,000 square feet less than what's going to be there, than what's there right now. I did a set of computations, submitted it, was reviewed by the engineering department at a departmental review of this preliminary application. And my computations had all the storms being reduced, but I wasn't able to meet the 10 post to the 2 pre, which is a conservation requirement. What engineering department wanted me to do is one more step. One more step was that the part of the parking lot and building that doesn't go into the stormwater system, the part behind the building that water course, that produces, in my revised computation, that produces a 10-year storm of 1.29 CFS, which is fairly small. The existing 2-year storm would be 1.51 CFS. The difference there is 0.22 CFS, a quarter of a CFS, which is very small. That means I would have to try to get the rest of the property, which is from the building all the way back. I'd have to try to produce only quarter of a CFS to add on to the part that goes into the stream that I'm not putting in to retention. And I found that very, very difficult, if not impossible. What I did look up is a recent application for number 95 Old Post Road. I picked out a set of computations that were done for that application. And what was submitted to you was fairly the same that I submitted to the town, which was they didn't qualify their 10 post to the 2 pre, but they reduced each of the design storms. So that reason, and the reason that being almost impossible for me to get a quarter of a CFS out of the rest of the property that's not going into the stream directly, I did a new set of computations, which the engineering department required me to use to ignore the fact that there was a building and a parking lot there. So I went back to, grassed area rather than hardscape. That was the new computation that was done and revised in March 21, 23. Again, I couldn't get the 10 and the 2 to work, but if I look back at the fact that with the building there, the 2-year existing with the existing building and the proposed 10-year storm we have with the plans now, they became equal. So I couldn't go back to the nature, but I went back to the previous building. I'd like to point out that that previous building dated back to 1950. So it's been 72 years on that, on that site. So I used that the first time around as existing conditions. But again, engineering department wanted me to check on if it were grassed area, which I did, and I still couldn't make it. But as I just said, the existing 10 is now equal to, so the proposed 10 is now equal to the existing 2 as it exists in the field right now. So in my opinion, it meets that requirement.
What year's the precedent on Old Post Road? What year was that application that you just cited?
I don't know.
I think it's
The 90, that was just, yeah,
Oh, what's that?
22.
22.
Is that Arthur's, isn't it?
The hairdresser.
Oh, yeah.
Is your professional opinion that,
This is, right now there's, as I think Bill mentioned, the water goes in this, I think there's 3 catch basins and it shoots right out into the stream and that's it. What we're introducing now are 17 units of low-boy galley, and we also have a stormwater cleaner. So I think it's far more beneficial than trying to rehab the building and, leave.
yeah,
It's there.
want to get on the record, so it's your professional opinion that for all the design storms you've studied, that there'll be an improvement over the existing,
Quite definitely, yes. Yeah.
and that there's no other alternative that you, in your professional opinion, that could be used to make, for the 2-year to make it, right?
Yeah.
Simply because the elevations that are set up and the waivers that Tony Russo had to get.
Any other questions, comments from any other commissions? No?
I just like, staff have an opinion on? On the stormwater situation?
I think Mike explained it pretty well. That was what one of the conditions we had was either try and meet the 10-2 or explain why you couldn't meet it. And I know not every site is conducive to trying to get it due to the constraints of the site. I still have to, I don't know, I don't know if the engineering has.
Again, what
What we could do is make it to the satisfaction of the engineering department, the approval conditional on.
We're waiting, still waiting,
Well, no, we have their initial report. It met all engineering's requirements.
it's all engineering,
Yeah,
so engineering.
yeah, it was just the 10-2 for conservation.
what makes it impossible is the area from the building to the water course. There's no way I can detain that unless I dam up the water course, and I don't think that's,
We're hearing your testimony.
see what I mean? So, and there's so little that I have to add to that I can't make that 10 and 2 work. Sometimes it's easy, other times it's impossible.
Thank you.
And there was no way, I'm sorry, no way to increase the subsurface detention area.
No, I'm restricted with elevations, and I can't go too deep because of the water table. It's it's tough. It's impossible.
Any questions, comments from any other commissioners? No?
This isn't a public hearing, so.
Can I quickly run through the criteria for a decision, if we're wrapping up? I'll try. So to run through your criteria for decision, first is the environmental impact of the proposed regulated activity on the wetlands and water courses. I think if anything, we are benefiting the wetlands and water course from what Bill outlined and the doubling of the floodplain, pulling away from the water course, his management plan, reduction of the impervious, adding treatment to a site that has none, and all the measures that Mike outlined as well. Regarding feasible and prudent alternatives to this plan, I know this property well. I can get into the weeds about why this is the only plan. The challenge with this property is it was a medical office building for the applicant. And one of the reasons it was is because the building walls are so thick of the existing building. So it was the applicant's nuclear imaging facility for his radiology practice. And that's why he picked this building. He had a vault that he installed there and the walls were perfect for it. It is not, if you know that building, it is not a great layout for a building. It's really an old industrial building. And so it worked for him for that specific reason. But other medical office and other types of offices struggle with that space, particularly the lower space. If you've seen it, it's got very high ceilings. It doesn't make sense for an office. So he's marketed it for a very long time. Connecticut Challenge moved in because they basically had a gym and it worked well for a gym. And so the only people who came and looked at it interested were basically people who wanted to do another thing. And none of them ended up being very serious. So the alternative is basically to stick with the plan that was previously approved, which would just leave the building as is and make these improvements to the wetland that Bill had previously prepared and were approved. A redevelopment that would tear down the building for something like an office, another type of office, or like a retail building or a restaurant is also very difficult. One, because the site's underparked and it can't get enough parking. It's currently underparked for a medical office. It doesn't have anywhere near the parking it needs for a medical office. And then same thing for retail and a restaurant. And having talked to so many people in this neighborhood, the last thing they wanted to see here was an underparked use. Because if you've been on Pequot Ave, they're basically at the limit there. Their parking that they have on the street gets maxed out a lot. So to have another underparked use was not a viable alternative.
So I correct also on it's saying that building that you're proposing does not require any activity in wetland or water course to be constructed.
It doesn't. Yeah. So right. Am I correct on that? Check for the answer. So yeah. So this really is the only alternative besides just keeping the building as is and doing that work that Bill had previously proposed. Which it just, I mean, that building's been marketed, that lower space has been marketed for 6 years. And I haven't even seen an LOI for it. So that's regarding feasible, prudent alternatives. Regarding short-term and long-term impacts, I think undoubtedly the long-term impact of this improvements is way outweighs any short-term impacts, particularly the doubling of the floodplain, all the things that I previously stated.
That's one question on that.
Sure.
This isn't a map floodplain, is it?
I think it is.
No, okay. And so it's not a floodway, right? Okay, all right. But you are increasing capacity of the channel, both conveying into the stormwater.
Yes.
No, it's not mapped. I've closed the flood on the
think it's
existing
important
building.
to get on the-
That's been my job during that storm. So I run out there, I shut the flood doors. So it definitely floods. But then
You are addressing the flood concerns, even though it's not a flood.
even though it's not flooding. Exactly. Thank you, Commissioner.
Theme of flood.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. Irreversible and irretrievable loss of wetlands and water courses. No, again, we're expanding that area. Then we have The injury to the safety, health, or reasonable use of property, including abutting properties. Again, I think the improvements we're making will only benefit the area. Removal of the invasives in particular, so they don't spread, I think is definitely an improvement. And all the treatment that Mike talked about. Impacts of the proposed regulated activity on wetlands and watercourses outside the area for which the activity is proposed. Same thing. This is going to only improve. And then measures which would mitigate the impact of any aspect of the regulated activity. We have a sediment erosion control plan. I know Bill said he detailed some notes here to make sure that we mitigate any impacts on the watercourse. So with that, we feel that we satisfy your criteria for decision. We're really excited about this project to redevelop this property and happy to answer any further questions you have.
Commissioners, any questions?
The increase in, or I should say the decrease in impervious surfaces, that's mostly in the back, the 5,000? I mean, do you have the?
I believe
Not important.
it's in the back. I don't know if we have figures on that, but we also have it up here up front as well. Because right, I have the survey. If you've driven by the site, there's a lot of impervious up here, right in this area right here.
And I'm expecting, just as it has nothing to do with anything, that if it's condos, it's just going to be, the desire is going to be there to maintain it.
Absolutely.
The tenants just,
Naturally. Yeah, residential tends to,
what we were talking about before was the landscaper that's hired dumping stuff. They're not,
and again, I think
I would hope that that's gonna, I'm
the
just.
way it's just a little,
Talking out loud.
those dumpsters are back here and it's dark and it's down. I think there's people who just come here and drop off some items, unfortunately.
Okay.
And we would
That's
agree.
why I would prefer the housing as opposed to retail.
Yeah.
That's just what I would expect it's gonna be here for, because that's what we wanna look at.
And we're happy to accept as a condition of approval to go to the 5-year and also to include in any homeowners association docs or condo association docs that it state that you have to abide by that.
I'm with Dabney on that.
Yeah, and I mean, continue to maintain the invasives, continue to maintain the trees, and then the health of the water course.
5-year on it.
Oh, yeah, I would say in perpetuity.
I mean, we're not.
Absolutely, 100%. And the only other thing that I would see is because of the building's age, I would like to see some kind of reinforcement of mitigating impacts of any VOCs or lead, paint removal, or asbestos or any other toxic materials that might. Yeah. So during that, during demolition, I mean, any kind of additional mediation that can be instated to protect the water course from those VOCs and toxic materials. Is there, Tim, is there any particular implications that can be mitigated for that? Like, is there a certain kind of silt fence, or are there any other precautions that can be taken
Demolition?
during demolition of a building that could of this age that could potentially have lead, asbestos?
Any of those concerns are airborne.
Yeah, they're gonna pause.
Yeah,
If there is, so.
Demolition.
They would have to do that prior to demo, they'd have to take care of those.
Yeah, but to protect the
Demolition,
water
okay.
course, I mean.
The only thing we've done in the past, sometimes is you reinforce silt fence with some type of wire backing, so that, if a piece of material fell off the building, it would knock the silt fence open. That might be a good idea in the proximity of the building area.
Which was it so close?
To your point, the other thing that could be done is typically during demolition, there's dust control, so people are spraying the brick and the concrete as it comes down.
Right.
To kind of
Yeah.
control that water.
Okay, all right. So then if somebody were to put a motion with those things in there, yeah.
I will put forward a motion. I put forward a motion to include mitigation of any impacts to the water course, specifically of any lead, asbestos, VOCs, other toxic materials. Language in the condo documentation that there is continued maintenance of trees the invasive species, thank you. And protection, continue protection of the water course in perpetuity. And then all of the other conditions
Staff.
staff recommends.
Second.
The 5 years, the management
No.
will be extended to be a 5 year.
No, in perpetuity.
I'm saying in
The
perpetuity
first 5 years be actively managed, and then it would be, I guess,
with oversight.
yeah, with
With oversight.
those oversight for the first 5 years to make sure it's annual inspections for the, make sure that the invasive species aren't reestablished.
Okay. Second? So Jerry seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it's unanimous, Jay, you're,
Yes.
yeah, so it's unanimous.
I'd like to make one comment, just for the benefit of the commissioners with regards to the engineering. Sometimes perfection can't be attained, and we should always make sure that we see the forest through the trees. And my husband always says, never let really good be the enemy of perfect. I think that's, I think that you have, you know, I think as long as the applicant makes the effort to try to get there, sometimes we need to give a little bit for a far superior situation than what is existing.
Michael, I think you.
Take it home to me.
Yes.
Can I get around the phone?
Yeah.
It's on tape.
Chris, is this Felix's project?
No, this is our.
I don't,
It's wonderful. Oh, okay.
Who's gonna enforce?
I don't know, maybe they,
I thought to
who
see.
manages it? Like, how does
Put in
that
the
work?
building next
Do you
door.
guys go out once a year? Or who's, how does that get managed? Even though we put it in there, I don't,
Yeah, inspections with the permit.
yeah, okay, I don't know. It's just a question.
Yeah.
Good.
I think it's gonna be great.
I like it.
The building has been such an eyesore.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know.
It's been a difficult.
Let me see the building.
Oh, yeah, we,
Nice, right?
so that's what it'll look like?
Yeah.
A render?
Really nice.
Yeah.
This is a lot. This was a lot of discussions with Sasquatch and Southport Conservancy, and they improved it a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, they really helped us. It used to be a flat facade, and so we stepped it back. This used to be all brick. We changed the materials here. There's actually a building, if you go down to where Main Street intersects Harbor Road, there's a building that's actually 4 stories, believe it or not, that is similar to this.
Very similar.
So.
Is that limestone up top?
No.
Is that limestone up top? Limestone up top, or what's the?
Jack Franzen knows that. I don't.
Sorry.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of work to get there, but
Good.
we're pretty excited.
Very good.
So thank you.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a camera on the dumpster?
All right. We're moving on. Roman numeral 8, feet.
Mrs. O'Malley left your glasses here on the table.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
In your office the next time, please.
Yeah, we'll make sure we grab
Yeah.
it.
Fee waiver requests, number 1, CWC 2020-21-152. Susquehannock Association for Southport Improvement, Inc., 2951 Post Road, Southport, map 243, parcel 15. Time extension for installation of walking path, wooden boardwalks, planting signage, and fencing within regulated area. Applicant requests fee waiver of $160 permit time extension fee. Staff recommends approval of the $160 fee waiver. What is this thing?
So this, I don't know
Sarah?
if you remember a couple of years ago, Sasquatch had come in, it was a staff level permit. They were working with the Fairfield Museum and National Parks to do a walking trail for the Pequot Swamp Walk. They had asked for a full fee waiver at that point. The commission granted them that. And then I know they went through an over of their board of directors, and been trying to raise the funding for this trail, so nothing has started on it yet. They are getting I guess their capital campaign is getting ready to go and their permit's about to expire, so they have a 2-year time extension available.
Okay,
And they were hoping that we would grant another fee waiver of the permit time extension.
Question, I would say so. How much are they trying to raise? It's been 2 years.
I don't think they've started trying to.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're about to begin
But the 160 was waived 2 years.
with the full fee waiver with the 2 years.
I will say that I know that park and it's nice for people, as it stands right now, people can't really use it. So if the 160 means
Yeah.
waiver means that money can go into improving the park, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and they're nonprofit, they've been looking
They're
at
great.
Yeah.
They're great.
park service.
motion.
Motion.
Second.
Jerry first, Davin second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All unanimous. All right. Where are we? Number 9, bills and bond releases. Number 1, IWP 2018-19-05, Fairfield University, 1073 North Benson Road, pond dredging, Hopkins Pond, within a regulated area. Request of Walter Stapleton for final release of $12,100. Staff recommends final bond release of $12,100. Is whatever they had to do all done and is or
They've done all their invasive control. It's been a few years that that's gone through. Everything has survived and all the conditions were met.
excellent. Motion by anybody?
Yeah, I'll make a motion when we
All right, Rick,
recommend it.
second, Dabney, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that one is unanimous. Okay, number 2, IWP 2021-22-03, Cornetic 301 Palomar Drive, demolish existing dwelling and construct a new dwelling within a regulated area. Request of Walter Stapleton for final bond release of $11,000. Staff recommends partial bond release of $9,000 and hold remaining $2,000 for plant survival. Oh, yes, please tell us about that.
So that's a recent one. One of the conditions was to put some plantings in the wetland area in the rear of the property. Those plantings were just recently done. So I'd like to hold some of that money to make sure that the plants survive.
What kind of plants? I mean, is 2,000 enough?
Yeah, it should be. I don't have the list with.
Okay, but you think
But I
2,000?
that'll be enough to cover what was done.
Okay,
I like that. Survival.
any other questions or anything, commissioners? Anybody want to put a motion forward?
I'll put a motion again. We go with staff recommendations to retain 2,000, return the 9.
Any second to that?
I'll second.
Chase, seconds, all in favor? Aye. All around, okay. 10, legal enforcement actions. Number 1, continued show cause hearing, Janine Norwood, 120 Wakeman Lane, Southport, map 246, parcel 5C, clearing of wetlands, vegetation, and deposition of material within a wetland. It's been referred to the town attorney. That'll probably be on here for a while, and it'll be the same thing because it's in court. So the next, while it's still here, just so everybody knows, it'll probably be some sort of update when the town attorneys have some sort of hearing or something like that. So don't expect anything anytime soon. Okay?
You have a general update.
Oh,
Yeah.
even better.
Just that the planting plan was received from the applicant. There was a list, some correspondence with Sarah, with Attorney Jackson that at the time to clarify other documents that are needed. And when this legal action started, that list was also conveyed to Attorney Krieger to discuss with
them?
her counsel
Okay.
of what we were requiring in the beginning. So other than holding on to the planting plan, those additional required documents have not been received.
Okay.
That's the only update I got.
Well, yeah, dribs and drabs. I mean, it's still
Right.
the same MO. Okay. Moving on to 11, staff reports. Number 1, reports from the Conservation Department. CWC permit applications received 19. Notice of violations issued 1. Bond release 13. Any Anything on that you want to mention? Okay,
No, busy.
busy.
Yeah.
Well, the 19 is a big number, right? And,
Yeah.
you know, so that's good.
The, fee, or the revised regulations for anybody, or everybody just keep going along?
Some
Right,
people,
yeah.
that we discuss over at the counter, we tell them that this may be coming. Obviously now it is. So that does, play into people's decisions of, pending what they want to do. It could be more cost effective if they wait. Some didn't matter. Some just wanted to start the project, so.
Yeah, I think the majority, it hasn't mattered. Either they weren't fully fleshed out to have it done in time,
Okay, all
Okay, good.
they didn't care.
right. Number 2, set walks for June. Do we have anything?
Twin Brooks Lane, that was accepted tonight.
Okay.
I know there's a Father's Day weekend in June. Uh, We want to stick to, weekdays, Wednesdays?
Well, it's later in the day. I mean,
No,
it's light out.
It's light
so
out,
if
yeah.
Light out when it's not
good with
smoky.
that,
Yep.
we can do whatever we did was 6 or
As long
something.
as you have a respirator on.
Well.
Seriously.
Pictures are gonna be lousy.
I was gonna say, right?
Do we want to, next Wednesday, the 14th? Or do we want to go later down to the 28th? Whatever, see, then we're getting into
28th.
both are Wednesdays,
28th.
Either way.
It's Father's Day is
the 18th.
18th, yeah. We got kids.
I did, but I can make it anyway.
Town hall's open the
I say the 28th,
28th?
just because
Any-
it's my vote.
20
That's pretty much getting into the July 4th area, so I'll probably be around for that.
You want to do the 21st?
The next meeting isn't until August, so.
21st for.
Oh, God, that's right.
The 21st will be a conservation
Yeah,
meeting.
right. We have a meeting.
There will be a meeting. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. 14th?
Let's do the 14th.
Yeah,
then.
okay. I think the 14th
Yep.
is better.
14th?
14th?
Yep.
And we want to stick with 6 PM?
6.
6
Yep, 6 o'clock on the 14th.
in the notice.
Do we know if, like, how accessible is that property?
It's accessible.
Can't make it.
Twin
somebody-
Brooks, yeah, it's really close to the road. I mean, you almost don't have to get out of your car.
Even better.
A drive-by?
Even better. Great.
But if you can't, it's very.
So Rick, you'll just drive first in the car.
Yeah,
Take your minute.
Have a little caravan. Right, exactly.
We'll make a caravan.
Right.
Margarita.
Oh, this is interesting. Number 3, vernal pool inventory. Do tell.
So, everybody knows vernal pools are, our most critical habitat of, as critical as wetlands are, but more. So since, I was able to come across, a cryptic, notes of possible locations of vernal pools in town from, April of 2000. That had no information other than some, like I said, cryptic locations of near the oak tree, turn right. 20 paces to the north, look for the tree shaped like a banana and, I'm joking, but it was pretty much like that. So, I, took initiative to create an inventory and retained, got 3 bids and retained a consultant. And we developed a spreadsheet of private and town-owned lands with GPS coordinates and confirmed egg mountains and adults and acreage and pool size and all that.
Public land?
Public and private. So right now, at least to create a foundation, we have 17 documented and labeled pools in town. Next step is I'm waiting for SWCA to generate shape files, and I've confirmed with MetroCog that dots with 2 different colors of confirmed or unconfirmed / yet to be confirmed will be placed on the GIS layer. And as far as I know, with between Metro Cog and West Cog, at least, we would be the first town to, similar to Mass DEP, to document their locations.
Nice.
Um,
Very nice.
In my mind, we can't protect the most critical resource if we don't know where it is.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be, there's not gonna be crazy information of, especially on private property. Some people let me on and I got to put my waders on, go through the pools. Some I didn't ask, so they remain unconfirmed right now. But at least there's the structure of having a document that's comprehensive with everything there that we could build on.
Good job.
So,
Great.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Tim.
thank you. So yeah, I love the pools, so that's why it became a project. And, one swimming pool was involved. It was an abandoned swimming pool. And there were egg masses on top of the liner. There were adults
That is
in the
funny.
holes through the pool, and it's been abandoned like 8 years. So
That is
it
amazing.
was a swimming pool turned vernal pool.
That is
So it was documented.
awesome.
Um,
For your city.
That is excellent.
So yeah, that's
Really excellent.
it's a exciting project.
Absolutely.
And, great to build on. I want to thank obviously any of the private homeowners that I dealt with, but also Audubon, the Burr Street property. There was 5 possible documented on there. Some of them were confirmed, so I did spend some considerable time with Amy and her staff to walk it, following these cryptic directions. And we did, either confirm or deny some of the locations. So that was a good big parcel to get onto that was private.
And they will never be lost.
Correct.
And what
Now
are
we
the
have
chances that-
GPS coordinates.
What are the chances that there are vernal pools on private property in other places in town that we don't know about?
It is possible, especially the bigger parcels. One of them, I saw on, this is kind of a conservation thing, but passing on the Merritt Parkway. And I stopped and dangerously pulled over, because I saw it in the blur. That parcel is, since that, I initiated, pursuit of acquisition. It's a 3-acre parcel, undevelopable with the pool, that we're close to acquiring.
Nice.
Sorry?
Right up the mirror.
Yeah, it's about 40 feet off the guardrail. Very rocky.
That's awesome.
So, that's just another, we could have the parcel and control access or prevent development, then it's a no-brainer. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Best news I've heard all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, it's pretty good. So,
I think everybody really is grateful for the change in energy in the department.
Yeah,
working
I'll-
on it.
I-
So,
Memorializing there.
for sure. I think more's been done in this department in the past 6 months than it has in the past 6 years.
thank you.
Excellent
Really,
job.
in your life part though? I don't think-
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you need
Let's
like
pull
one of
that
those.
back.
Bothered me. I was like,
We
you
can't afford-
Right.
Well, our new car has a lot of the flashing green and yellow lights, so it wasn't there long, but I made sure it was outside of rush hour.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Where we at? 12.
And I did have one more under other.
Oh, you have one more? Oh, I'm
That
sorry.
was the number 4 that.
No, I apologize.
Just so you know, just to preemptively share this information, I had a Zoom meeting, what's today? It's on Monday with Connecticut DOT, Town of Westport.
Yeah.
Their consultants. There's going to be a application coming for this agency for a bridge replacement on Wakeman Lane. We share the property with Westport, but it's one, there's a water course, obviously, the bridge over the water course. But also, we have Carrick open space, that's just open space, there's no recreation. And part of this application is gonna involve, I took it off my phone, the about 30 square feet of encroachment on the easement to, as part of the bank stabilization. So there'll be some in-water work. They'll come to us with a permit, but also for the conservation easement encroachment of the 30 square feet they estimate. There'd be 6 to 8 inches of fill. So nothing, may or may not be too critical, but we'll get the agency will get the chance to review that when they get there. I included the emails from the DOT's consultant. They're on the cloud, so you can read the detail there, and as well as the proposed drawing so far. I think we're probably a few months out from this anyway, but wanted to share that with you now, so you'll know that that's coming. If there's any feedback, I said that I would translate that back to them.
Commissioners, anything?
Just that, I'm looking forward to Dabney's idea. I don't like this lack, maybe it's some sort of awareness with these contractors. What went on here is very disturbing.
Oh, yeah. No, but,
And, I think the statutes provide for it. I don't know. I just, don't understand to me why the building department can't be integrated in some sort of awareness, but I kind of had it. That was awful.
Tim,
It's
part of
the un-
That's, building permits aren't required for
Right.
most of the violations.
Yeah.
We get.
Right.
Yeah.
So building isn't involved at
We're
all.
gonna form a
Well,
separate.
I'm just thinking contractors need, I don't understand. Well, you make a good point, but there has to be, I just hope there's some way we
So-
can get some
We have
awareness.
a clearance process.
Sorry?
We have a clearance process where where somebody can come in and file a green sheet
Okay.
or whatever.
Hold on, folks. That,
Is this DOT related?
yeah,
Right.
we're still at, any
It's still
questions
the
about
DOT.
the DOT coming in?
Right.
My question is it gonna be a conservation and an inland wetlands?
It'll have to be because the easement encroachment with the fill is one matter versus the
Is it-
IDCP that,
Possible to maybe do it on a conservation night with a special
yeah.
special inland wetlands, if just for that, I think that would be more efficient.
Mhm.
Okay, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, when it
Okay.
does come. It might be not till the fall, but
Yeah, no, whenever it does come. Okay. We're all gonna be talking
Yeah,
about that.
I'm quite professional on this jumping topic.
Yeah, no, but we are, and I think we're all on the same boat on that. So, but before we get there, let's get to other, and let, Tim finish up with the Bartlett tree. And I think that'll be a nice way to
Right, jump
segue into it.
Section 12, other, the letter is attached to the agenda. It's come to my attention on 2 different fronts, actually 3 with Dabney, a member of the public, and an incident that happened that I was a part of. That's documented in the letter to Bartlett Tree, where my staff encountered a Bartlett Tree truck extracting water on the overpass adjacent to our open space at Binger Woods, Sasko Brook headwall coming under the Merritt through a culvert. When they confronted the driver, he pulled up his hoses and sped away. So it was suspicious. There was a lot of foam in the water course, thinking that it may be fertilizer related. I was out there with our conservation manager, decided to notify the fire department. They came out to check it out. Police were there, and then NCON police responded as well. We were able to drive around and find the truck up the road, applying fertilizer to ornamental fruit trees. Fairfield Police and NCON Police both interviewed the driver separately. They determined that there was no incident with the water course. It posed no threat. There was no laboratory analytical testing to confirm or deny anything. So, but that was their decision. The NCON officer, when I asked him, is water extraction from a public water course legal from the DEP standpoint? He said no, not without permission from municipality. So since this agency or Conservation Commission hasn't issued any express written permission to Bartlett Tree Service in particular. In my mind, according to the letter, I see that that's a violation of inland wetland watercourse regulations, as well as, kind of encroachment into open space for use of natural resources of the public for business purposes. So that letter states that, if we're going to continue to do this, we'll either pursue some type of legal or law enforcement action, or come get a permit, or come before this agency and ask for permission to extract water.
Tim, have you shared this with Jeff Minder?
I don't believe so.
Forestry might be a good
He's-
idea, just so.
He's aware of it, but he hasn't seen the letter.
And all the other tree service constantly, so let's say we're coordinated.
Did they respond?
They have not responded, and I know the member of the public who continually sends me emails and photographs of them in action. I'm not sure the timing of when they received the letter versus this occurrence, but I'm contemplating, staking out the bridge with staff or, uniformed police to see if they show up and try and deter it that way.
For the record, I will say that I put a personal courtesy call into the gentleman at Bartlett who's been there for at least 2 decades, who is in charge of the Fairfield area, to politely ask him to cease doing that and to educate his guys, and he was somewhat belligerent. Yeah, he was not compliant.
I hear that.
Yeah. And he's a difficult guy to begin with, just say that. And he didn't see, I mean, he was very dismissive of the idea of having to ask permission. And his attitude was, everybody does this. I don't know why I'm being singled out. This is just sort of the way it is. But then I called my tree guy, and I asked him how he gets his water. And he said that he has an agreement with the town of Westport to get it directly from their water treatment plant. So, it just goes to show you that it's not necessarily, I don't doubt that there are other organizations that extract water from water courses, but it's,
Again, I would recommend a discussion with Jeff Minder, Forestry, with respect to that as well, because with all the various, arborists and tree service guys that do business in Fairfield, so at least we can spread the word or coordinate. Because I agree, I don't think they should be allowed to take water from public space for their own personal
And maybe,
use.
and the other thing is
And then
that
charge us for use of.
well,
Water.
for use of it also, like the Mill River, for instance, especially when our water's being diverted to other towns. So it's
Yeah.
already, our water courses are already compromised. And furthermore, it's just about doing what's right, taking a public resource for commercial use.
And then charging you for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even charging it for it. It's sort of like, why should you get your free water if I, put my gas water at home, I have to. So it just, the whole thing just doesn't sit well with me personally. So I just wanted for the record to say that I made an attempt on a personal level to try to ameliorate the situation, and it wasn't received very well. So.
Okay.
So purely informational at this point. Any updates I'll provide it.
I'm sorry to hear that for Fairfield, that that's a widespread practice.
Yeah, but I am really happy to know that there is a resident who cares enough to reach out and keeps her eye out for what's going on.
I bet they've done it for years. It's been probably a common practice.
Right, that's what I said, I'm like,
I think that'll lead us into what we want to talk about with landscapers as well. So maybe all of these contractors have had it a free.
Too easy.
teased really for too long. And whether it's taking from the natural resources or dumping into the natural resources, there should be some sort of penalty. And I'd like to, Rick's got a good idea, but maybe in the fall, set up a subcommittee, and look into whether a contractor if a homeowner's got a contract, and they can provide a contract with a contractor that they were gonna do this work. And they did this work, and it was work within a wetland area, and they cut down trees, and they did all that, and we have a notice of violation, or Tim goes out there and they gotta come in front of us. If they provide that to us, I think we should have some sort of mechanism where we can say, listen, you did work in this town, here's the contract that proves you did it, and here's the proof of what you did that was wrong.
Liability.
Now you have to pay for it.
Well, and it takes some of the burden off of homeowners like
Right.
this or Mrs. Zhao,
Yeah.
who honestly I really believe weren't aware, right?
If these, like, let's say the contractor is an insured contractor, can the homeowner then
Yeah.
say, you know,
I think she should.
can you, like, small claims court go and say, you know, or.
She can do that on her own, but we want to have our own penalty.
No, but like, for the people that are in trouble right now.
Sure, but she also has to hire a lawyer. I mean, not everybody can
She's-
afford to do that.
Right,
so.
right.
Anyway, but yes, there needs to be some kind of recourse on a town level,
Could not agree with
within this, so.
I hate, Brian, have you ever come across another town that has dealt with contractors?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some that do have it, and it's certainly permissible under the general statutes. I mean, the general statutes speak to, any person committing an unpermitted regulated act, and it's not specific to property owners. So yes, it can be done, but we would have to have local regulations, obviously, and we'd have to make sure that that's set in our fine schedule. But yeah, I have seen other municipalities do it.
Great.
So if that's the case, I don't think it should be from commissioners, but maybe we can ask our council to confirm what Brian said, if that's the case.
Mhm.
And then at least we have a preliminary set of facts that we can give to a subcommittee that we will form after the summer and look into how that can be done. Okay.
Good. Excellent.
All right. Anything else from anybody for other? Yes.
I just want to say that I just want to sort of get an idea if anyone's interested. We were going to do this year, but we're probably not going to have time until the fall to do. I would be happy to lead some site walks of our open spaces for anybody who's interested on this commission in the fall, and maybe do one a week for 8 weeks. There are 8 largest open spaces that are the most well traversed and used by the public. Is there interest
I've been doing it anyway.
in that? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we just plan in the fall? We'll set up some times and
With a list
yeah.
of spaces in certain order.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, if part of our purview is to protect and manage those open spaces, we should all be
Kinda
familiar
agree
with
with
them,
him.
right?
Yeah, that's good.
Ask a rhetorical question, Sam.
Mhm.
I did a walk of the Fairfield U campus about 3 or 4 weeks ago, looking for areas where they could plant more natives and do more sustainable practices in managing their campus. And I noticed a couple of conservation easements or ponds on the campus. And their contractors or their landscapers are using a lot of chemicals. And I'm wondering if there's any way that we can protect the conservation easement areas on their campus from being impacted by chemicals that are being used by their contractors for doing the landscaping. I don't know the answer to it, but it was a concern.
I know the president's wife.
Mhm.
She's certainly anti-chemical. So if you wanted to.
Is there any chemical?
Yeah, anti-chemical. very anti-chemical.
Oh, it would be nice if the administration followed through on that.
More than $1,000 in
Severe
levy.
Right, because I'm working with the professors in the environmental studies program, but they have no power relative to the administration.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's a very nice woman. I could give you.
Okay.
Well, when we had the chance, similar to the detention pond, you know, we
Okay, so
We're able
that's a
to-
statute, at least that's
Yeah.
the starting.
proposed the
Right.
buffer
But
and the
it
planting plan
doesn't
around
come
it
from us. I think it has to
for
be. an
protection.
ordinance.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I have to push for
One out of
GM
many.
to
Right.
pass an ordinance.
The Great Pond there
Yeah.
has.
Thanks, Brian. That's very helpful.
A couple years ago, they
Has quite a bit.
fired all their on.
Okay.
Sub it all out.
You guys come in.
Used to be all on
Yes.
themselves.
Destroy your
Big company.
don't get me started on loans, but, I'm just wondering if there's anything that we could do.
I gotta run everybody.
That's it. Well, anybody else for other, anything else? Then if that's the
Yeah, I'm
case.
gonna pledge to, stop jumping on that, thing.
All right, we are adjourned. And if you can see up there, Brian found the statute and it does say a little something about fines, about $1,000 fine, but there has to be an ordinance.
Anyone participating.
Anyone, it's anyone.
Yeah.
But the clincher to that would be, we have to,
You have to get a,
effort to get an ordinance from the town.
Can you email that to us, Brian?
and then
Yeah.
I can get you that. 22A, 42G. I'll get that.
Thank you.
You know, the online class, like.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep, have a good night.
Good night.